Gonna go across the front here. We have the power switch, we have the heat switch, we have the lift switch for your elevators. This is where your pump would be if this were the left-hand unit, but being the right-hand unit, it doesn't have one. Your power, heat, high limit lights, and of course your controller. We're going to leave the heat switch off. We're going to turn the power on. You'll notice that it starts to come up, gives you a version, network disabled, power failure light, and it says press start to preheat. Well, we want to make sure that we have at least 200-degree oil in here because we're going to filter. So we're going to hit start, and the oil is 218 degrees. So that's good for filtering. If we want to raise that, you can see it says preheat to 335 degrees. We would press this heat button. Immediately the yellow light comes on because it's calling for heat. You see the red heat light. That red heat light means the controller is below temp. This means that we're actually applying heat to the unit. We're going to turn it off, and we're going to do a filter. Now the first thing we want to do is make sure that there's nothing in the filter pan. We've just cleaned that and connected it. So we're going to open up this drain valve. Now when I lift this up and open it, it will alarm and tell me that the drain is open. So I'm up. There it goes open. I can silence that so that I don't have to hear it. But right now the oil is draining into the filter pan. Now while it's doing that, I know that when I get done, I want to put the oil back into this fry bath. Since I know that, I've got a line that goes across the top here in back, and it has a valve on it for each individual vat. I want to make sure that this one is open. It says fill this vat, so I'm going to lift that up. So now when I recirculate my oil, it'll come back and go straight into this fry vat. I want to make sure this one's closed and make sure that one's closed. They are. The handles are straight down, they're closed. So I won't have any coming back there. Okay, all my oil is drained out now. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to close this back, make sure that this metal tab goes into this hole down here to push in that plunger switch. It goes in, it pushes it down, and I get an alarm that says check the oil level, make sure the vat's full before pressing start. I left my heat off, so I have no heat on, I have an empty vat. And then of course, if I press the start, it will try to go ahead and go to temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over here, I'm going to turn my pump on. And I've now got my pump going. I've got this valve here going to the fry vats. If I had it down, it would go to that discharge hose coupling. So right now my oil is coming back into the fry vat. Now we want to let this oil run, let that pump run until you start seeing air bubbles come up inside the fry vat. Let them do that for about 45 seconds, a couple minutes. Won't hurt a thing. Just you don't want to walk off and just let it go. But you can hear it now if you listen real good. You can hear the bubbles coming up inside the fry vat. At that point, I'm going to reach back over here. I'm going to turn off this pump. And you can hear it silence. Okay, still have the heat switch off, still have my start. I have not pressed it, so I'm not heating yet. I want to close off this vat. As soon as you finish filtering, close that vat off, and then you won't accidentally, if you were filtering, say, the next vat, send some oil back up into this one. You don't want to overfill this vat, and you could easily do that by leaving the wrong valves open. So once I've got that, the vat's full, I'm going to go ahead and press the start. Right now I've got it set to a preheat of 335. I'm going to bump that down, and to do that I'm going to press my temperature button, and I'm going to put 200 and start. Okay, now it's set to 200 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat on, and if you watch here, you'll see that slowly start to build up here in just a minute. But we're going to go ahead and bring that up. If I want at any time to see what the actual temperature is, if you press this once, it'll say enter cook temp, press it again, it'll give you the actual, and it'll display that actual temperature right there. After about 20 seconds, it'll go ahead and default go back to actual, or you can press the button and then it'll go right back, or press the clear, it goes back to a normal display. Okay, so we're going to let this heat up for just a second, get this back up to 200 degrees. While we're doing that, we have the power light on. Our heat light is now on because we have the heat switch on and it's calling for heat. So you've got this orange light on. If this high limit comes on, it's because the sensor has sent a signal to that high limit board that it's over 450 degrees. This would only happen in the case of a runaway temperature, or if that probe sometimes can get bent where it's right up against the heat element. If it's touching that heat element, the heat element will get over 450 degrees pretty quick. So that would do that. The lift switch right now is in the off position. The lift switch, of course, is for the basket elevators. On switch, heat switch on. And you'll notice the temperature is now climbing up. 197, 198. It will soon hit my 200 degree mark, at which time it'll alarm and tell me that it's there.